Have you ever worked with that one coworker? The one who thinks the whole office exists to cover for their laziness? Well, let me tell you about mine. He tried to dump his entire workload on me, again. But this time, I didn't just take it. I turned his own ignorance against him, and let's just say, watching him squirm while his career crumbled was the sweetest payback I've ever had. If you've ever dreamed of serving justice to someone who wronged you, hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready for one of the most satisfying workplace revenge stories you'll hear today. Because this time, karma didn't just tap on the door, it kicked it wide open. I work in a pretty average office, beige walls, endless coffee pots, and the hum of printers that never seem to stop. But in every office, there's always that guy. For us, it was Seth. Now, Seth wasn't just lazy. He was the Olympic gold medalist of laziness. He had this way of floating through the day like he was allergic to actual work. Always on his phone, always wandering off. He'd vanish into the bathroom for half an hour like it was a spa retreat. And when he did show up, it was late, dragging some excuse about traffic or a family emergency. But the real kicker, Seth had perfected the art of pushing his work onto other people. And by other people, I mean me. At first it was, hey, can you help me with this? Little things. Formatting, double-checking. But before long, help turned into, here, do it for me. And like an idiot, I did it. Because I wanted to be a team player. Because I didn't want to cause trouble. Because honestly, I thought maybe if I showed I could handle extra responsibility, it might look good to the boss. But Seth, he wasn't grateful. Not even close. He started expecting it, like it was my job to cover his. He'd strut around bragging about his work, the work I had stayed late to finish, while I sat at my desk fuming. Over time, I started to feel invisible. Like my contributions didn't matter. I'd bring it up to my boss, carefully, without sounding like a complainer. But every time, Seth had some slick excuse ready. Oh, I thought we were collaborating. Or, I just delegated tasks to keep things moving. And somehow, my boss bought it. Every single time. It felt like being trapped in a bad dream. I was busting my back to keep projects afloat, while Seth coasted. And the more he got away with it, the bolder he became. The final straw came one Thursday afternoon. I was wrapping up my own workload when Seth dumped a massive folder of spreadsheets on my desk. Hey, can you clean this up for me? Reports due Monday. I opened the folder and nearly choked. This wasn't some casual task. This was a major client report. Dozens of files, all needing detailed formatting and analysis. 2 days of work, minimum. And Seth, he just smiled, patted my desk like I was his secretary, and sauntered off to his 2-hour lunch. Something in me snapped. I realized Seth wasn't going to stop, not unless I made him stop. So I started thinking, what's the one thing Seth hates? Actually doing his own job. And what's the one thing he admitted he's terrible at? Excel. Perfect. The next day, when he sent another batch of spreadsheets my way, I agreed. Sure thing, Seth. I'll get right on it. I smiled so sweetly he didn't suspect a thing. But behind that smile, I was plotting. I spent the next few hours working on those spreadsheets, but not in the way Seth expected. I carefully embedded hidden formulas into the documents. Nothing obvious, no glaring mistakes he'd notice at first glance. Just subtle tweaks. A formula here, a hidden cell there. Just enough that if someone tried to copy and paste the data into another report, the numbers would scramble. Everything would look fine at first, until you actually tried to use it. It was like setting a digital trap, a minefield waiting for Seth to step on. And I made sure it wouldn't be easy to fix. The kind of thing that would take actual knowledge of Excel to untangle. Knowledge Seth didn't have. By Friday afternoon, the spreadsheets were done. I sent them over with a polite little, "All set? Hope this helps." Then I sat back and waited. Monday morning, the big day. The client report was due. Seth strutted in late as usual, coffee in hand, grinning like a man who thought the world owed him a favor. He lounged at his desk, scrolling on his phone, while I quietly worked on my own projects. Around noon, the call came in. I'll never forget it. Our client, furious. The report was a disaster. Numbers didn't add up. Charts didn't make sense. It was chaos. Suddenly, Seth wasn't lounging anymore. He was pale, sweating, frantically clicking through his files. Why isn't this working? He tried copying, pasting, reformatting. But every time he fixed one thing, something else broke. He came over to me, panicked. "Hey, do you know what's going on here?" I tilted my head, pretending to be puzzled. "Weird. Looks like maybe a glitch?" "I'm not sure." I gave him some vague advice, stuff that sounded helpful but wouldn't actually solve anything, and watched as he spiraled deeper into his mess. Hours ticked by. Seth was sweating bullets, muttering under his breath, calling IT for help. Nothing worked. By the end of the day, the damage was done. The client was furious. Our boss was livid, and for once, Seth didn't have an excuse that could save him. I sat at my desk, calm, sipping my coffee, as the boss tore into him. Seth was humiliated, the golden boy of laziness, finally exposed. He tried to blame technical issues, but the boss wasn't buying it. Not this time. By the end of the week, Seth was put on temporary leave, without pay. And me? I didn't even need to gloat. Watching him squirm, watching him actually face consequences for once, that was enough. For the first time in months, I walked out of the office feeling light, like justice had finally balanced the scales. The image of Seth, red-faced, fumbling with his files while the boss ripped into him, is permanently burned into my memory. After months of carrying his dead weight, I finally got to watch him carry the crushing load of his own laziness. And it was glorious. Sometimes karma needs a little push. And sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't shouting or fighting back. It's letting someone trip over their own arrogance. Seth thought he was untouchable. Turns out, he was just one spreadsheet away from disaster. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell us in the comments. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? And of course, subscribe for more stories like this. Because trust me, you don't want to miss the next one.